January, probably the worst month to go carp fishing. But if you want to keep catching in those colder months, there's a few things I can show you that'll help increase your catch rates. Welcome to Lyons Drove. I found depths varying from 17 to 20 foot. Haven't seen a fish since I got here yet, but if I see something, I'll be on my toes and I'll make it happen. It's been a quiet one. I'm still confident. The rods went out really well earlier on. Still confident something's going to happen in the hours of darkness. Temperatures really plummeted last night, absolutely freezing. It's going to have to be a big change up today. Something's going to have to change if we're going to put a fish on the bank. I'm sure I was on fish when I first turned up, so I've made the decision I'm going to move. The last one came in really easy. This one's actually put up a good account for itself out over deep water. It's amazing how you can be so wrong for 24 hours and then literally two within a space of 15-20 minutes. I'm definitely going to put another one of these pinks back on. Alarm ain't on. They're on it. Who didn't put his alarm on then? Welcome to Lyons Drove. It's in Cambridgeshire. It's a big reservoir. It's open, it's windy. There's lots of incredible depths, but the big reason we're here is it has great winter form. The lake behind me is a big res. It's around 28 acres in size, holds a stock of around 500 carp. It's got an absolute jam-packed amount of features underneath the water surface. We're hopefully here to get a bite or two. Let's see how the session goes. Right, the rods are out. First time down here at Lyons Drove. Spoke to the bailiff before I come. He told me this is a good area to be. He's told me a depth of around 20 foot, which is what I found out in front of me. I found depths varying from 17 to 20 foot. It's a nice feature. I'm reasonably happy with the rods. Haven't seen a fish since I got here yet. But if I see something, I'll be on my toes and I'll make it happen. But for now, the rods are out. Let's see what happens. Fingers crossed, it won't be long before that first rod's away and I can hold up my first January Lyons Drove carp. While I'm sitting here waiting for a bite, waiting for something to happen, I'm going to talk you through my 3 winter tips. My first one is venue choice. Make sure you pick the right venue in the winter. That can make a big difference between having a failure of a winter and a right good result. I tend to pick the more higher stock, deeper venues. The ones that haven't been weedy through the summer again is a massive important edge. Pick them venues that is going to get you bites. It's got good winter form. Social media is a great place to pick up on this. You can see what's going on a lot of the venues these days. They have Facebook pages, Instagram pages, and you can see what's going on before you go fishing. So that's my first tip, is to pick the right venue. Don't pick the low stock venues, pick the higher stock venues. You will have a much better winter and you'll enjoy it a lot more. My second tip is location. When you turn up to the venue, try your hardest to find them fish first, because that's the difference between catching and failing in the winter. You need that location right. Look for warm swims. Look on those social media pages like we spoke about. Look for where the fish are coming out. Ask the bailiff. They're here a lot more often than you are. They will be able to give you an insight as to where the fish have been coming out and where they've been most of the winter predominantly. My next thing is being prepared. Being prepared is a massive thing in the winter. For me, essentially, I am always prepared. I have a bucket here, absolutely loaded with stuff. I have solid bags tied up so I can move at a drop of a hat and move on to any showing fish, any signs of fish. And the great thing about solid bags is you can cast them wherever. They're always fishing. They're a great tactic in the winter, a perfect amount of food, just to get you that, nick you that 1 or 2 bites. Absolutely fantastic method this time of year. Zigs are another big thing as well. We're going into early spring soon, and zigs is a massive edge as well. Fishing up in those layers of fish spend a lot of the time off the bottom in the winter months, and if you can locate those areas of water they're swimming at via zigs, you'll catch a lot of fish. So basically, be prepared, enjoy your winter fishing, make sure you're ready for every eventuality and spend time watching the water. They may show at night as well. Just keep an eye on that water non-stop and you will find them fish and you will catch them fish using very simple tactics. Implying very little in the way of bait through the winter months, you will catch more fish. Here we have the Ronnie rig, a rig that's talked about a hell of a lot, but that's within reason. It's a great rig, it works really well, it's nice and simple. The reason I use it, it's easy to change out hook when you're getting bites, and it's a rig I use throughout the whole of the autumn, into winter, and also early spring. It's a great rig, it just works for me and for what I fish. I use it through the autumn, basically to get it over the top of them little bits of leaf matter, the dead decaying weed in the lake. It sits perfect. I've got a swivel at one end, obviously that attaches to your main. And then I've got some coated braid, which is a prototype braid. At the moment, it's currently on test. A couple of blobs of putty just to sink it down. A small loop, goes up to a swivel, which I've cut the ring off the bottom of the swivel to get that hook bait just to sit that little bit lower. I don't like it sitting up too high. This is just the way I like it and the way I've sort of worked out to be the best. To that, I've got a small piece of shrink tube here and a size 6, the important part, wide gape long shank. Incredible hook pattern. Been using this hook pattern since it came out, and for me, it's the best hook pattern I've ever used. Hook to land ratio is incredible with this rig, and with these hooks, it just suits it absolutely perfectly. Then I'm just using one of our hook beads just to trap that bait. Again, I go in line with the barb of the hook. That's the position I find perfect to get the good hook holds. A small 12mm Hinders nutbait pop-up, which is highly flavoured, super powerful for catching those winter carp. And the all-important part, 15 red maggots on top of it. To me, it's a massive edge, an edge that everyone should be putting into their fishing through the winter months, through the autumn when those naturals are there. It's incredible, it gets you more bites, 100%. I fished it alongside standard pop-ups with the maggots on top on another rod, and the maggots outfish it every time. It's a fantastic rig, and I hope it works as well for you as it does for me. Right, the evening's drawing to a close. It's been a quiet one. I'm still confident. Rods went out really well earlier on. Still confident something's going to happen in the hours of darkness. I've been told it's more of an evening stroke, nighttime venue, so fingers crossed for that. But it's time for something to eat. Got the barbecue fired up. It's actually really nice and warm. It's been freezing all day. Fingers crossed. We're going to get a carp tonight. And if they're not going to eat, we're going to eat. And we're going to have a big barbecue to warm us up. Well, as you can see, the sun's rising behind me. Looks like it's going to be a beautiful day. Temperatures really plummeted last night, absolutely freezing. With that, a northerly wind as well, blowing into our face this morning. Ice on the car, ice on the bivvy. Unfortunately, absolutely nothing to report last night. Not a single bleep. Didn't hear any fish showing during the night. It's really quiet overall. It's going to have to be a big change up today. Something's going to have to change if we're going to put a fish on the bank. Been watching the water since first light and nothing's materialised in front of me. Fingers crossed that something's going to change. I know one thing, this cup of coffee is going to go down well. It's absolutely freezing. Here are my go-to winter baits. Been working for me literally everywhere I go. I'll talk you through exactly what's in these mixes and why I use them. In here I've got a lot of Nut 365 boilie crumb, a lot of 12 millers, corn. The most important thing is the oils I've got in here. I've got hemp oil and nut oil, which both drag up that attraction through the water column, especially in a deep lake like this. I want it pinging up signals up through the water columns. It's what I generally use every single time I go fishing in the winter, this mix, and it's been serving me well throughout the winter months so far this year. Next is the pellets. I've got a variety of Hinders pellets here. I've got the E-lips, I've got the mini gems, and they're packed full of attraction. Not only that, these carp are young, they were fed on pellet, and I'm hoping that they almost treat these as a natural food source. Maggots play a big and a vital part of my fishing in the winter. The added movement, the added attraction. The fact is you could bring other fish into your feeding area as well and just get them carp interested and get them moving. I actually put a lot of nut powders over the top of my maggots as well, which just keep them dry through the winter as well, stop them sweating up, and it also gives them extra bit of attraction as they take that nut meal on. But they are a big and a vital part of my winter carp fishing tactics. All these baits together are what I use and what I'm most confident in the winter months. That's an important thing in the winter. You want an attractive bait with very little food, which these offer perfectly. and you will catch carp. You know, it's a massive, massive advantage having baits you're confident in, and baits that are super attractive in the winter months. It's nice to have a variety of baits as well for different situations, different lakes, but these are my go-to winter tactics. Unfortunately, it's been really quiet. We've been here since yesterday morning. Nothing's occurred. Had a couple of linings yesterday morning, felt it was going to happen yesterday. I'm sure I was on fish when I first turned up, but it's gone really quiet. Nothing's happening. So I've made a decision, I'm going to move. I'm going to go to the far side, back of the wind. This northerly wind, there's only so much you can put up with. Drank an absolute shed load of tea today, trying to keep motivation at an all-time high, but it's just not happening. Rods have been silent. We're going to make a move now onto the back of the wind, far side, and let's get round there, and hopefully with a new swim, might breathe a bit of new life into me and maybe a bit more optimism for maybe a bite. Fingers crossed that's where they are, and that's where we're going to find them, and we're going to get among a few fish. Well, we've moved round opposite bank on the back of that north wind because that was just not comfortable, and to be honest with you, 24 hours, long enough to tell me the fish ain't there. Moved round, got the rods out sharpish, a couple of spoms over the top of each rod, not going mad because it is cold, the water temperature's freezing. Took a reading earlier on, it's actually 4.5 degrees. So you know you're up against it when the temperature drops out below that water. So fingers crossed, rods are out, hopefully fingers crossed something happens, but it's been a funny old trip really. I've worked really hard with not a lot to show for it, so I'm a lot more confident than I was on the other bank, and it's a lot nicer over here. Well, after the move, it's finally happened. It took a long time in coming, but I finally got a bite. Just pulling it in from quite a way out and fishing quite far out on this rod. Fingers crossed, we'll land it. And we'll get our picture of our first ever Lyons Drove carp. But it's certainly been some hard work getting this bite, I tell you. Definitely deserve to get this one in. So fingers crossed. He's going to play ball, we're going to get him in. It's really deep margins here, I can feel the fish is down very deep at the moment. Oh, it's a nice one. Get in. It's always nice to get that first one after a very frustrating trip. It's only a small one, but we'll take it. It's been very frustrating to say the least, but we've got one. It's a nice, pretty scaly one. We'll get him out, show you in a second. First things first, we'll get that rod back out, I think, see if we can get another one. Happy days. Well, just had the first fish. Interesting thing was, that rod, I changed actual hook bait colours. I went to a pink on that rod, and amazingly, that's the rod that's gone. Whether or not it's a coincidence thing or it's a spot, I'm not too sure, but I'm definitely going to put another one of these pinks back on. So yeah, just put a hook on nice and easy. That's the joys of the spinner rig, the Ronnie rig, is you can change that hook very quick and easy and get that rod back out there in super quick time, which in the winter is very important because the fish can feed for very short spells. So I'll make sure I get this rod back out there, and hopefully, fingers crossed, number two won't be too far behind as well. Well, worth that move, finally. My first Lyons Drove carp. Hard work for this one. Move around the opposite end of the lake. On the back of this wind, it's been freezing over the other side. It's felt better the moment I've got over here. It's only taken around 45 minutes for this rod to go. And this is the result. Lovely scaly little carp. Not the biggest. It's a pretty one, isn't it? I'm happy. It's been tough going, like I said, and at the end of the day, carp's a carp, especially in these conditions. It's been tough. Nice and slow. Alarm ain't on. Who didn't put his alarm on then? I'm going to hang it out here and say that this is actually a decent one. It's a lot better than the last one. Well, like a noddy, me obviously, didn't put the alarm on, did I? Just turned round, looked around, and the bobbin was wedged into the alarm. Heard it pull out the clip, and I'm into my second one in a manic 15 minutes. Feels a lot better than the last one. The last one came in really easy. This one's actually put up a good account for itself out over deep water. It's holding deep. There's loads of gullies in this lake, loads of different depths that we spoke about before, and the fish have a tendency to lock up behind them bars. You've got to be really careful. Obviously, you pull too hard, you're just going to get cut off. There's a no leader rule here, so you've got to be careful and take your time with these fish. You want to see them in the bottom of your net. You don't want to be getting cut off. But as he gets nearer now, happy days. Over the moon to get a second bite, a second chance. And I've got a feeling it probably won't be the last one either. So when they turn up in these type of lakes, they generally are shoal fish, and they'll turn up in numbers rather than just one or two. So I'm hoping it could be a little bit of a flurry of activity this evening. I think after getting these 2 bites so quick, I think what I'm going to actually do is put 2 rods onto this zone. I think it's good enough to tell me there's a few fish out there. Like I said, there's probably a pack of them out there. So I'm going to switch around one of the rods, probably the left rod, which is the furthest rod away from the zone where I've had the 2 bites from. I'm going to change colours as well. Surprise, surprise, pink's done too. So I'm going to have to change the other rod onto a pink and see what happens. Double the chances, put 2 rods out on that spot. I spread the rods out basically because nothing was happening. We haven't been seeing anything, so I wanted to spread the rods and cover as much ground as I could with the rods I had available. That's a better one, donkey. That'll do, donkey. That'll do. It's amazing how you can be so wrong for 24 hours and then within a space of just a few minutes, really, it's all turned right and we finally got a few bites. Just goes to show you in the time of year, just don't give up, just keep on going. And once you get it right and you get on them fish, with the tactics I've obviously showed you in the video, you can get bites. Take that, second one, let's get it dealt with, get our rods back out on that mark again, because I think there's a few more to be had, I really do. They're on it. Right, after a flurry of activity like that, I need to get these rods back out sharpish. Light's dropping, it gets dark really early now. Got a nice new head torch, rechargeable, Fox Halo. Absolutely superb bit of kit, really vital this time of year. Like I said, those dark nights are so long. The fact it's rechargeable, you haven't got to worry about those batteries anymore. Just whack it on, away you go. Let's get these rods back out and let's get another bite. When it's dark, I find a green LED my favourite choice on the new Halo head torch. Reason for that is basically your eyes can adjust so much quicker in the dark when you switch it off than what it will using a white LED. So that's the reason I use the green. I just think your eyes adjust so much quicker once you've got everything done, you've done all your finicky pieces, you want to get the rod back out, your eyes adjust so much quicker onto them horizons at night. It's definitely the colour of choice for me. Second one from the Mad Flurry, literally 2 within a space of 15-20 minutes. Put a second rod on that spot now, so hopefully fingers crossed for more. This one, probably about, I don't know, 21, 22 pound common. We'll take it because it's been a struggle. It's a lovely looking carp, isn't it? It's nice and clean. Clean and tidy, they're in good condition, these carp, they're well looked after. I'll take that for a January bite, shows those tactics are working. Fingers crossed for a bigger one. But it's time for some dinner now, time for us to feed. I'm gonna get this fella back. Absolutely freezing, a proper block of ice, this carp. Well, coming to the end of our session here at Lyons Drove. It's been somewhat frustrating, but that's what winter carp fishing is. It's January, it's been freezing cold, wind's non-stop been blowing. The move paid off yesterday. We came round the opposite side, managed a couple of quick fish. Unfortunately, nothing happened last night. It's coming to the end. Looking forward to a nice warm car on a drive home. But if you haven't already seen, currently we have the Fox Facebook group called the Syndicate. Go ahead and join, it's free to join, and there's plenty of prizes on there, including some in-social fishing with the Fox team and a great insight to what goes ahead behind the scenes of Fox. Well, that's it for me. I hope you've enjoyed watching. I hope you've picked up on a few things and you can take them into your own fish and hopefully put a few more carp on the bank throughout the colder months. If you want to see more films like this, click up here, and if you want to watch underwater films, click down here.